Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. Fans, today we have a really great show for you today. Going to talk a lot about spring training. I'll tell you what, I'm not sure I've ever been more excited to get a spring training started. Going to bring in Coach Holt. He's going to give us about 20-25 minutes of his time. Going to talk a little bit about some of the comments that Brett Boone has made over there with the Yankees, some of the rosters, just the beginning of the spring training. We're going to have a Down on the Farm segment. Going to talk about the AA Tulsa, the new manager for the AA Tulsa Drillers, Eric Wedd. Super excited about him and many other things. So thank you so much for tuning in. I know this is a different time of day that I normally go on. I doubt that I'm able to draw much of a live crowd at this time. I've got plans for this evening. I had plans for last evening, so wasn't able to hit our live show last night in terms of going on that like we normally do on our Wednesday night. So trying to hit a live show and get some things covered here on Thursday morning. It has been a snowy couple of days here in Oklahoma. So, hey, if you're on this and you just logged in, then let everybody else know that we are live here on Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, and we are going to have a really, really good time. Mr. Classic, top of the morning to you as well. Thank you so much for joining. And again, I know this is going to be tough to get a crowd going because this is not the normal time, and there was absolutely no announcement about it. But I have some time, and I was wanting to talk Dodgers baseball. I was itching about it, and so I decided to just go on and ramble on. So, hey, let's get into our show today. And the first thing that I wanted to talk about was the most exciting part of spring training. So I'm going to be Mr. Classic, apologize, top of the afternoon for you in Oklahoma. Yeah, it is actually about 12:30, middle of lunch right now as we have a good crowd logging in. So there's so many things to be excited about with spring training. Of course, me being somebody who covers all the prospects, it's going to be super exciting. It always is to get to see them all in one spot. But overall, and I'm a little bit different. I've been around the game so long. I've seen, coached, been around. I get to talk to so many of the greatest players of all time. I've told the story about how I got to be in the dugout as a 10-year-old with Tug McGraw and Pete Rose and Buddy Bell over at Tulsa, and Bake McBride and Larry Boa and all those guys. So the starstruck part of it just never has ever been an equation for me. Like, hey, yeah, this guy's a good player. He throws the ball good. But the superstar part of it, the part of it to where, hey, this guy, like Shohei Ohtani, for instance, like that stardom, if I was to talk to him, he wouldn't be any different human being to me than the guy playing left field for the Tulsa Drillers. It wouldn't be a different experience for me just because his name is Shohei Ohtani. So I say all that to say, when I see videos of like Yoshinobu Yamamoto or Roki Sasaki or Shohei pitching or Blake Snell or whoever it is, I mean, I've seen a 95 to 100 mile an hour fastball before. I've seen a left-hander pitch. I've seen a right-hander pitch. I've seen all that. That doesn't really interest me in a whole lot. And I'm getting to a point here in just a minute. What interests me the most about the spring training coming together, despite the fact that easily the Dodgers have the best roster in baseball, which is obviously very exciting. What excites me the most is what the front office has done. And what I don't necessarily mean, of course, it is all a byproduct of how they've constructed this A-team roster in the offseason. But it's not just the fact that they have been able to stick with, I know I watched Clint the other day. He got to talk to Andrew Friedman. What a great interview that was over there at Dodgers territory. Check that out if you haven't seen him and Alana Rizzo. They do wonderful work over there. And it was very gratifying because if you watched Andrew Friedman's conversation with them and then you have paid attention to Dodgers Dogs all off season, literally verbatim, he repeated everything that we've been talking about all offseason, all the different people that they picked up. It was the A-team list. They were building off of the free agent market in the offseason because they're trying to stay away from, I know I've gotten some resistance on that, but they're trying to stay away from the inflated, the trade deadline at the end of July. So they want to do all their work in the off season. And then also, I thought the conversation, again, it was interesting to hear him say it, but we've talked about this just on our last show, that for those of you who don't care if Shohei Ohtani pitches or not, I've said this before, but I understand that part of the equation in terms of just the baseball aspect of it, that, hey, the Dodgers have enough other good pitchers. We need Shohei Ohtani to hit all of that. But Andrew Friedman said point blank, which is what we've been saying point blank, that Shohei Ohtani, and we actually use the exact same terminology. Shohei Ohtani, because he does not have to count as a pitcher, he said doesn't count as a pitcher. We've said 14th pitcher, same difference, different terminology there. But because of that, you're able to have 6 starters, and then Andrew Friedman used this terminology, and still keep your 8 bullpen arms. That was the brilliance of that. That is the formula the Dodgers have not been able to figure out in terms of keeping pitchers healthy. That gives him the term that he used, the flexibility to try to do their best to keep this roster as fresh and as non-injured as possible. So, as I like to do, I'm making a short story long and getting into the antidote of what I am actually so excited about with this spring training is the fact that the front office, point blank, has made the very clear statement to all of the players in this organization, hey, last year was fun. Winning a World Series is always goal number one. It's always the number one thing that you want to do. But guys, that's not the goal. We're building a roster to win 2, 3, 4 World Series. My gosh, and if you see what we did in the offseason, that's what we were expecting. Those are the expectations we were placing on you. And because of that, of course, I don't think there would have been anyways, but in case there's, you're human. I mean, you win something. That's why it's so hard to repeat, is because you lose a certain amount of edge once you accomplish a goal. It's like after you beat a video game. Of course, I don't think you can beat the video games nowadays, so I'm probably dating myself and showing my age. But once you beat a video game and you beat up, like I remember Mike Tyson's Super Knockout game. I mean, I could get all the way. You remember Bald Bull and all those people working up to Bald Bull took me forever to get past. But once you get past them, you never forget, right? Then I could never beat Mike Tyson. And then once you beat Mike Tyson, the game's not fun anymore, right? And so whenever you actually reach that goal and you win that World Series, there is, as a human, a certain edge that even no matter how professional Mookie Betts is, no matter how professional Shohei Ohtani is, there still is a human element to where there is a certain edge that you lose because you do win the World Series and you have reached your goal. And that's a lot of fun, right? And so the front office put that edge right back into these guys saying, hey, that was last year. Last year was fun. One's not good enough. And we're going to get into this conversation with Coach Holt. I'm going to ask him here in a couple of minutes when we bring him in. He is very busy right now. We're going to have way more conversations with him as we move on. But as soon as I get him on the line, we're going to bring him in for a segment. But we've talked about it before, him and I have, about if this becomes an organization that's assembled this type of roster and all of these all-star type players with all of these contracts, and they only win one World Series like the Atlanta Braves did in the 90s, or of course the Buffalo Bills never won one in football, right? That's not what you want to do. So to me, the burning fire is burning as hot as it ever has been to go in and watch these guys grind and win yet another World Series. None of that edge has been removed from me because one's not good enough for this generation of Dodgers, in my opinion. And what this organization has done, there is no more exciting times than whenever you have so much competition internally. I promise you, just go to all my interviews I do with the minor leaguers. This is a real thing. They love each other. They're a brotherhood, but they are 1,000% competing against each other. Don't think for a second that Andy Pages is not 1,000% competing with James Outman. Don't think for 1 second that Justin Robleski isn't 1,000% competing with Ben Kasparius or Landon Knack or Bobby Miller or any of the guys that are scheduled to start in Oklahoma City. Those guys are all competing against each other. And that internal competition, to me, again, the star-studded part of it, I've seen Shohei Ohtani pitch before. We're going to see him again. It's just another pitch thrown to home plate to me. With the fascinating part of this is watching all of these competitions for guys who literally are fighting for their lives. I mean, you're talking about guys that make $50,000, $60,000 a year, that if things hit right, they go from doing that to making $700,000, $800,000 a year at a minimum, right? This is life-altering type competition for these guys. So if you're really truly a baseball fan, it's kind of like NASCAR fans and racing. If you're a real NASCAR fan, yeah, you kind of watch the front, who's in the lead, who's going to win the race. But really the true racing is like the third, fourth, and fifth place. All that racing back in the pack where all of those drivers need to win. It's like that amateur the other day. I don't know if you saw that video where they were golfing and they had to make like a 60-foot putt to get their tour card, and the putt came up like inches short. Like that type of competition that's going to go on in the spring training. Alec Gamboa, can he impress enough to finally be given a shot? Cody Hosey, Ryan Ward, Landon Knack, Bobby Miller, Justin Robleski, Ben Kasparius. Can those guys, can they make a push forward? We're talking about Jack Dreyer. Can those guys push and make it undeniable that their lives need to be changed? They need to become major leaguers and not minor leaguers. Can Michael Grove, can he come into his own, and despite the fact that he's probably not going to have a consistent role, can he reach his potential? Can James Outman bounce back? What is Kike Hernandez going to give this club? Is Hae-Sung Kim, is he somebody who's going to shut out Andy Pages and James Outman? Is Roki Sasaki, is there anything to be worried about with his injuries? Is he as good as advertised, right? Yoshinobu Yamamoto, with 1 year, as great as he was last year, with 1 year of adjustment period in the major leagues and in the States, how much better will he be, right? How much can Shohei Ohtani give the Dodgers on the mound? Those are all the parts of spring training that I'm the most excited about. All of those battles, all of those internal competitions, because as a coach, as a GM, as a manager, whatever it may be, those situations, they pretty much dictate themselves. You don't have to coach those guys. Those guys are internally motivated. All you got to do is post the schedule for the day, and those guys are going to do exactly what they're supposed to. So even when games start, like I'm going to want like the first 4 innings just to hurry up and get over with so we can get into really the meat and potatoes of why we're at spring training, to solve all of the questions, to answer all the questions, I should say, of all of the players that are vying for spots on this roster. We know Freddie Freeman's going to be the starting first baseman. There's nothing to watch there. I've seen Freddie Freeman hit before. We know Teo Hernandez is going to be the right fielder. Michael Conforto is going to be the left fielder. We know Will Smith's going to catch. We know Max Muncy is going to be the third baseman. We know Mookie Betts is going to be the shortstop. We know all that. I'm interested to see what exactly is Miguel Rojas' role going to be. That's what interests me. Is Tommy Edman, is he the center fielder? Is he the second baseman? Or is he a bench player? Is Chris Taylor on this roster because because of the narrative we gave the other day, that the Dodgers really do just want to get him to the pension? Or is he a guy that the Dodgers feel like they have unlocked something at the end of last year and he actually is going to earn a spot on this roster and not be part of just kind of a grandfathered in, we're trying to get you this pension? That is absolutely the part of spring training. That is why. And then, okay, so you have all of that, right, that I mentioned right here. Then on top of that, for all the other aspects of it, I get to watch Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, Michael Conforto. I get to watch all that too, okay? So if you're not excited about this spring training, you don't have blood in your veins. This is the most exciting spring training that I can possibly remember as a Dodgers fan. Again, I was a casual Dodgers fan until 1988. Kirk Gibson hit the home run. I loved Vin Scully. Him and Joe Garagiola always did the World Series. I didn't even realize Vin Scully was the Dodgers announcer that time. I was like 10 years old, right? Living in the state of Oklahoma. So I fell in love with Vin Scully. I was a Vin Scully fan way before I was a Dodgers fan. So then 1988 hits. Kirk Gibson hits the home run. It has that underdog element to it. Kirk Gibson is my type of dude. Oral Hershiser is my type of dude. And then that fits in with the fact that Vin Scully is their announcer. And it's like, dude, I'm hooked. So been an absolute diehard since 1988, since I was 15 years old. And so my experience with the Dodgers, I didn't grow up in LA either. So when I say diehard, I will say this. I grew up in Stillwater, and I'm a different type of diehard towards OSU than people who didn't. So I totally understand. I'm not the exact same type of diehard that Coach Barakoff is, okay, because I didn't grow up right down the street from Dodger Stadium and that kind of deal. And I just wasn't born into it. It happened for me when I was 15. It was a conscious decision. So when I say this is the most exciting spring training I've ever been excited about, take that for at least somewhat of a grain of salt, because, again, there are way bigger diehards out there than I, not because of the baseball aspect of it or because of the love for the Dodgers, just because of geographics, because they grew up there, right? Because it was born into them, like Oklahoma State was born into me. It just was. But I say all that to say, as kind of context, I can't imagine any other year where spring training has more excitement around it, more internal battles, more star-studded elements to it. I mean, think about the perfect scenario. You have the stars, you have the expectations that the front office laid on these guys. Guys, don't get complacent. One's not enough. You have the stars, you have the expectations laid on these guys by the front office, and then you have all the ridiculous battles that are going to happen back in the pack for all the guys who are just trying to make the freaking team, right? This spring training has it all, and I am so pumped. I cannot wait to get all the games started. I can't wait to see how all these battles get going. So I'm just really excited. So I knew it was going to be a smaller crowd today. We still have a good crowd logging in, considering the fact that I didn't make any announcements. I completely changed the time. Didn't have time last night. It's just a situation where I wanted to get a video out and have a good conversation. Hey, Sandman Logic, we are so loaded. Richard Appleby, hey, Coach Casey, not that I was not already pumped up about this, but you are really getting me pumped up about spring training. Let's go, Dodgers. I'm so freaking fired up. I'm so fired up. I'm not even pissed off about the fact that I got to go referee 4 junior high basketball games tonight. That's how excited I am about Dodgers baseball and Dodgers spring training. Sandman Logic. I sat in the parking lot listening to Vinny while my friend was in the movie theater waiting for me. That sounds about right. Hey, Sandman Logic, Kirk hit that home run, and I was the only person yelling, screaming my head off. 100%. It is one step away from an all-star team. So, hey, I just got Coach Holt on the line right here. So, hey, I got Coach Holt right over here on the other side. So what we're going to do, I'm not going to ramble anymore. I have had my opening spiel. We're going to talk to Coach Holt, but don't go away. After Coach Holt, we will have more Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. But, hey, going to bring in Coach Holt now. Coach Holt, great to see your face as we bring you in here to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. It's been a minute, and hey, pitchers and catchers reported. We know the smells, we know the sounds, we know just the feeling that you get. It's like Christmas morning as a kid all over again, isn't it?
Yeah, just that sound. I saw several videos yesterday, like I'm sure all baseball fans, especially Dodger fans, have seen. The Snell at the bullpen, all the new guys in the pen, and that sound case. It's just the ball hitting the glove. That's the key one. The bats. They haven't really got a whole lot into live BP yet. Probably still doing tee work, soft toss, get that type of stuff till they get going a little deeper. Maybe probably later on doing some. But just the sound, you could smell the horsehide, like you said, Casey. You can smell the Camelback Ranch. I saw them out there. I'm thinking the hot dogs, the Dodger dogs, and sitting out on the grass watching a game. I can't wait to do it again, and it's the greatest time of year. The only next time would be the best be opening day. So, yeah. But opening day with pitchers and catchers report is a great time for baseball fans.
So it's one of those deals. The saying is it gets in your blood. Like it's like you can't do without it. It's just one of those feelings. You can't really describe it. I mean, it's hard to kind of put into words. What is it that makes us love baseball, especially this time of year, the most? I mean, why do I feel like this? Why am I so giddy, Coach?
Well, I remember you as a 9-year-old. You and my nephew Brad played for your dad, and the love you guys had as little fellas playing out there in Stillwater, out in the park out there, Lions Park out there. And I know where you developed your love at. I developed a love growing up with 3 older brothers out in the yard playing baseball. And, like I said, when I found out Johnny Bench was a quarter Choctaw Indian like myself, I thought I was the next Johnny Bench. I wore number 5 and was catching in Little League. So you develop that love from an early age. I don't think we ever lose a case. And now it's just more quote unquote sophisticated because we've actually coached high level players and been involved on a high level. Me in the American Legion High School, you on the minor league level, being close to that situation. So I think our love as little kids, when we first developed that, just the love of going out and playing. Of course, I'm a lot older than you. I can remember playing my buddies. We had gunny sacks for bases. We shared gloves. When the inning was over, you just drop the glove where you was at. The guy come out. And that's the beauty of it. We just played, drink out of the water hose and just play baseball. And, there's no fences, just run and get it. And that love as a little kid, it never goes out of us. Now, here I am 60 years later and still have that love of the game.
So it's just, I'm glad you said that because, I kind of want to get into this topic because it's like you have this relationship with baseball that it's like it makes you a kid again. I mean, I love football. Don't get me wrong. The 4 hours I go watch Oklahoma State. I'm not big on NFL. NFL bores me to death. But college football is fantastic. Grew up going to all the Oklahoma State. Still go to all the home games, many of the road games. That 4-hour span is some of the greatest moments that I will spend as far as enjoyment. I love Oklahoma State basketball. I go to all the games. Okay, but there's a different relationship with baseball. It's just, maybe that's just me, but whenever I hear the gloves pop, whenever I smell I feel the warmth. You can feel the warmth of the sun coming through the screen that you're looking at. It's like it takes me back to being a kid again. I don't know what that relationship is. It's crazy.
It's great, and I know there's millions of people that feel the same way we do, those baseball lovers, and we've talked about this before. I always get interesting when I hear somebody say, God, baseball is boring. I always think, you're an idiot. I don't say those
Stay
words.
Stay away, then let me have it.
And I'm a firm believer everybody has their own opinion. That's politically whatever.
Yes.
Whatever you believe in, that's great. Go with it. I'm not going to question you, but a 1-0 game is not boring. It is as baseball people attest because every pitch is important, every play is important. And as we saw in the World Series, even with a 5-0 lead, one play, error, mental errors, error here and there lead to an inning, and the Dodgers end up winning the game. It's been well documented. The down 5-0, don't cover first. Just the stuff like that we've seen at every level of baseball. So that's why it's to me it's the greatest game because it is a game of failure case. Nobody dominates a game. You don't win every game. You don't dominate it. you just get yourself up out of the dirt after an 0 for 4 with 4 Ks and get ready to go in about 12 hours. I remember telling you guys that several times. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to stay down very long. And on the other hand, you can't stay up too high. That's where the even keel comes in. And the greatest players have been able to handle that. They handle the failure. Your success depends on how you handle failure. We've heard that is so true in this game, and that's why we love it.
Yeah. I'll never forget you saying, okay, you struck out a couple of times. Okay, you realize you got like 24 at-bats coming up in the next 4 days, right? I mean, you won't even remember those at-bats here in about 72 hours if you go out and do something about it, right? So, hey, that you mentioned that one error or whatever can change the game. I would like to say this, and I like Aaron Boone. I have, of course, Bob Boone, and nothing but respect for Bob Boone. And then his brother, Brett Boone, and Aaron hit the big home run against the Red Sox, which I didn't like because I was rooting for the Red Sox because they were kind of the underdog. So I didn't like that part of it. But he needs to shut the hell up, man, with all this disrespect crap coming from the freaking Yankees, man. Your team went out and did exactly what they did. They booted the ball around. They didn't. I know I was watching Jim Rome. I kind of got some of this, and he's exactly spot on. If you haven't seen Jim Rome talk about this, he's 100% correct. Your team booted the ball. Your team didn't run the bases. The Dodgers were scrappy. They were tougher. They were better, and they kicked your ass. Deal with it as a grown man, dude. That's where I'm at with that guy. I mean, that guy needs to shut the hell up.
I'm the same way. I'm just looking at that this morning, Case. I'm getting tired of hearing it, and I can't even remember. I think Joe Kelly made a few comments. I mean, it wasn't like the whole team wasn't like everybody was just spouting off. I mean, and then we love Joe Kelly.
It's the freaking World Series. Of course they're excited.
Yeah, we love Joe Kelly, and he didn't say anything that wasn't correct. He wasn't making stuff up. Hey, grow up. You're in the big leagues. You're managing the New York Yankees. I would hope your skin would be a lot thicker than that. It should be. If it's not, you better get that way. You just lost a World Series. They're probably not real happy with you because you lost the World Series. Whatever. Get over it, man. I mean, I feel the same way. I don't remember the Dodgers just going, do we ever see Freddie Freeman or, Mookie?
I don't even know what he's talking about, Coach. I don't even know what he's talking about.
Disparaging the Yankees? No. I think there's a couple of guys just kind of said something about the fifth, that 5-0, and they weren't lying. They just kind of said, hey, man, it kind of blew up in your face there. You know what I'm saying? Hey, the Padres would have really pissed off the Yankees because they do it all the time, whatever. But I'm tired of it. I'm the same way you are. I hope we handle it. I read it today. I hope we handle it. If we do get in that situation, I hope we handle it more class of Dodgers. Get out of here.
Shut the hell up. That's what I want to say.
Maybe 2 or 3 guys get on there and say something. Deal with it, bro. I mean, the people in your own stadium are saying worse stuff about your team than our guys are. I promise you. They were when they got beat, and they are today, I assure you.
Hey, I got news for you, Boone. You whine like that. We just kicked your ass last year with much less of a roster. We've added Blake Snell, and we added Teo back, Michael Conforto, Roki Sasaki. We've added all these guys since we just kicked your ass. Okay, I got news for you, brother. Last thing you want to do is put bulletin board material on the bulletin board for the greatest team in baseball right now, which is the Dodgers. If there's no injury, which, hey, best laid plans, you say it all the time, Coach. The Dodgers can end up being the worst team in the league because everybody get hurt. Who knows? I mean, we're not expecting that, obviously. Right. So the best laid plans don't always work out. But as of right now, if everything goes with plan A, like the entire offseason did, the Dodgers are going to kick your ass again, dude. And so you don't need to be given bulletin board material. It's the last thing you need to do.
They don't read something today, though. It was so stupid I couldn't even see who said it. Somebody for the Mets said they had a better lineup than the Dodgers. I'm going, wait a minute. You got 3 Hall of Famers at the 1, 2, 3 in your order?
Yeah. Congratulations, bro.
3 MVPs, 1, 2, 3 in your order. I'll just start there. But anyway, talk is cheap, and on paper the Dodgers are going to run away with. We know. I saw the other day. I thought it was funny. Hey, they've already announced the Dodgers have officially been handed the World Series title for 25. If you went on paper, that's what it would be. But we know it doesn't work out that way. Quit whining about it. I mean, the Dodgers, did what they did. They might have had a couple of guys make some comments, probably had some Budweisers after the game or at the parade knocking down some cold ones, which they deserve, by the way. And they're full-grown men, and they can do that. There's nothing illegal about what they're doing. And the comments I saw was kind of taking shots, but they were telling the truth. They weren't making up, it wasn't making up innuendo. There was, you made errors there, and the mental errors and physical errors, and lost a 5-0 lead and lost a series. So there wasn't anything, if you call that disparaging, it's just the truth. Deal with it. You're getting ready for another season there, big guy.
He just looks like such a spoiled brat to me.
Yeah.
Like if I was a Yankees fan, or if I was one of his players, I'd be like, dude, you realize Shohei Ohtani's really freaking good. The last thing we need is him to be even more pissed at us. Would you please shut up? You're making my job a lot harder.
And by the way, now he's going to have a ball in his head standing 60 feet 6 inches from you.
Right.
When he releases, he'll be about 52 feet from you if you're lucky. 105. So get you some of that too. Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, again, on paper, the Dodgers are the greatest team, but we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, right.
We're going to be pulling all 162 games and trying to win them all. And we know it's not going to happen, but. I was kind of shocked. Also they're getting ready. They're going to spring. He might have even been in Tampa when he said it. I don't know. Dude, you're getting ready you're the 27 world titles. You don't have to take a back seat to anybody, but deal with your failure. You got beat by a better team. Move on, dude. You don't have to. You're a dynasty in the history of baseball. You don't have to stoop that low. Your players are probably going, dude, we're starting a new year. Who cares about it? Last year's over.
Man?
Last year's over. I hope the Dodgers the same way. I think they are. Last year's over. Yes, we're the world champions until somebody else wins it. But
Mookie said that.
Yeah, by the same token, we got to go to work. They're out there taking ground balls already. Those guys showed up early. Mookie and those guys already out there taking ground balls. Honing their craft and getting to camp early. They're not resting on their laurels. That's what you always hope doesn't happen. Is what you guard against. I'm sure Roberts and them. These guys know what they're doing. These are professional players or multi-million-dollar players, the best in the world at what they do. Mm-hmm. They get it. They know it starts all over again. They don't hand their rings out against the Padres, which I love, by the way. Hand their rings out against the Padres and get all that stuff. But the reality of it is you got to move on. And by the way, we've heard of what me and you were saying back then. A lot of people were saying, I saw some of the Dodgers said the other day, Mookie said, San Diego's the best team. We felt that same way then. That was the two best teams in baseball playing. That series, the Dodgers really had to. That showed right there what they're made out of. You could never, even if they never won another series, what they did against San Diego, a great San Diego team, proves everything you need to know about the Dodgers team of 24.
Yeah, it's almost like you forget in 2004 when the Red Sox came back from that 0-3 deficit and beat the Yankees 4 games in a row. You forget that actually wasn't the World Series. They still had to go win the World Series after that, right? So, yeah, Mookie Betts definitely, he made it very clear you have to move on. And another point with this club, I don't think anybody in this Dodgers organization would hype on the fact that, yes, they won a World Series last year. That's wonderful. We're all excited about that. But it would be a grave disappointment and it would be a situation to where the Dodgers did not reach their potential. They would have fallen short of everybody's goals if they only win one world championship. So don't think there's still not a lot of pressure on these guys.
No, there is, Case. I mean, they've been the best team in baseball the last 2 years, arguably. Yeah, they got beat in the first round 2 years ago, but I think they're probably the best team in baseball. It didn't work out, didn't pan out. Give credit to your opponent. Diamondbacks who knock you out. You give credit to your opponent, move on, and learn from them. The Dodgers did. But, no, there's not a – go back to the Braves, those great Braves teams. The lineup, they win one. They won 14 straight division division titles, win one World Series with a team those guys had. And what's
the legacy?
Yeah, exactly. Bob
you don't want that legacy.
No, they got a great manager, they got great players, and got nothing done. So, that's Hall of Famers all over the stinking place. So, the thing everybody tends to forget, baseball people don't, because when we were coaching it, even on a high school level, it's hard to be good at this sport. I've said that to you guys several times.
It's hard to win a championship. You still have to have luck.
Any level. Yes. It's hard to win a championship. It's hard to be good at this sport. You're not going to dominate. You're not going to be, if you get 4 hits and 10 times, you're the greatest hitter ever lived. But most people, the good ones, get 3 out of every 10 at bats, 300, whatever you want to call it. Nobody's going to dominate, but you always got. They're not going to sit back on their laurel. They can't. They can't afford to. This game is unforgiving. It's a beautiful game. We all love it. I know you do. You know how I do. Your dad, your families. But it's an unforgiving game.
It is.
They don't sit back and feel sorry for anybody. When the Dodgers lost their whole rotation 2 years ago, anybody feeling sorry for them? Still won the division by 14 games, which is amazing to me. But then last year, injury, getting the playoffs. Freddie, we don't even know about his cracked rib or whatever he had. We saw the ankle injury and the things those guys, settled out for the team, for each other. They're selling out for each other. Those guys aren't playing for themselves. They're past that deal. They're in the big leagues. They got their contracts are set for life. They're playing for each other and to win rings now. And then they're not going to stop at winning one. They're not satisfied winning one. Just like the Chiefs won 2 in a row, 3 in the last 4 years, they wanted another one. They got smoked the other night. What do you think the Eagles are thinking? They're already thinking about going on the road. They've got a young, great team.
100%.
And best running back, and I mean, they've got a lot of things. Great defense. They're looking at number 2. They're not sitting on what happened last Sunday.
Great fans.
They're already ready to go. Passionate fans, and a great organization.
Yeah, I totally agree. So you've had this situation many times. You open up camp, tryouts, whatever it may be, and you're going, man, we have so much internal competition. There's going to be so many competitive battles as far as the different positions out there. I think, hey, Shohei Ohtani, Roki Sasaki, fine. Yeah, I've seen 100-mile-an-hour fastball, right? But all that's great. None of that really does a whole lot for me. Like when people post videos of individual people pitching, it's like, okay, well, I've seen a 98-mile-an-hour fastball plenty of times. That doesn't really entertain me, even though it's coming from Shohei Ohtani. What entertains me is watching the internal battles that's going to go on this team. This is going to be one of the most – now, there's a lot of positions that I think are probably taken, but for those last 3 or 4 spots, this is going to be one of the funnest spring trainings. It's one of the ones I'm looking forward to the most because the battles on this team are just going to be bloody, man. And when I say bloody, I don't mean they're going to hate each other, but don't think they're not competing with each other.
Yeah, they have to. That's the reason they got to where they were. Again, you know what this team's made of already. The guys have had to come off the bench, and guys have had to come up from the minor leagues in the last 2 years to not only just be a warm body and fill in, but get there and get and be successful. So yeah, that's going to be great. The competition and make each other better, whatever. There's nothing like it when you have that type of talent where you can do that. It's. I'd be more concerned if we got the 9. And I know he'll pretty much have the same lineup every day, but he's got some play in there. He can do some other things. But I'd be more concerned if you only had the same 8 every day, and nobody pushing them. And even they go 0 for 40, they know they're still going to be in there. You go 0 for 20, maybe, Roberts may have somebody in there playing for you. I mean, just kind of, so he has that luxury, and that makes the team better. It's going to push the guy who's in the slump to continue to work and get it. And then he's going to push the kids behind him going, hey, not only do I get a shot, I've got to make something happen here. I'm not going to be there very long. Mm-hmm. That's the nature of the business. It's about winning. It's about, every day you walk out there, you're a baseball player. That's what it's about. So I agree with you, Case. It's, you look back on a lot of things, even the pitching staff. We got so many stinking pitchers. Now you got to come up with, I know you got your rotation, 6-man, whatever it may be, whatever they decide to do. Then you got your bullpen set up right there, and you got some guys that may not be getting enough work, if you get down to it. That being said, we haven't seen this in 2 years in a row. Being healthy, staying healthy, and we know it's not going to happen. It does on any team in the major league, high school, college. When you're throwing and putting that much torque on a human body, no matter how much they train and do things, injuries are part of the game. It's just part of it. So you just hope you don't get hit with too many, like the Dodgers have been hit with the last 2 years, unheard of. But so there's that also. There's so many pitchers. It's great to have that, but it didn't take long for that to thin out too. So a great competition amongst the guys, pushing each other. That's what you want as a manager.
Can you remember not a World Series, but a spring training that you've looked more forward to than this one? Or is this just another year for you?
No, I think this one is very important for a lot of reasons, like we just mentioned here. I mean, I'm sure the coaching staff, the front office people who have been amazing, with this organization the last few years, and what they're going to be looking for, the same things we're talking. Us fans are all very worried about, you complacency, guys. But I don't see that. I think this team's, like I said earlier, this team's already proved what they're made out of. They got great leadership in the clubhouse. I think that's proven. They had the off week. They kept coming to the ballpark every day and competing, playing cards. Ball club. When your best players are some of your hardest workers, when you already see that, your best players are your best, hardest workers. Case, even in high school, football, basketball, baseball, just like you've coached, it's amazing how many times your best elite players are the hardest workers. I mean, they're the best in drills. You think they could take – I had some defensive linemen who went D1, were outstanding, despite the fact I was coaching them. I stayed out of their way, sat in the lawn chair, let them do their thing. But They were the best in drill work. They didn't take a drill. 108 in the old stadium up here, up on that hill you practiced on, up the little hill where they built the stadium. 108 full pads on a Tuesday. I tell them, I don't want to be here either, but we got work to do. And, that's the type of deal the kids get into. But your best players were always, they never took a rep off, even on drill work. Yeah. That's when you've got something. And
that's the Dodgers.
Yeah, I'm not there, but I can only see that happening. You see Ohtani, he's probably the first guy that walked in there the other day. The highest paid in the world or whatever. I guess Soto may be close now, but whatever. Your best players are already getting the early. Mookie's out there getting work in, and that's when you got something special. I'd be shocked if anything else happened with the Dodgers this year. They proved what they proved to each other and us as fans of what they're made out of last year, going through those tough series they had to go through, and everybody thought they were dead against the Padres. I mean, it looked that way. Very good team on the road. Holy cow, this doesn't look good, and that shows you right there. They never wavered. I mean, they never wavered, and that shows you what type of mentality that you have, a culture, if you will. A lot of people use the word culture. There's no doubt. They're going to push each other to the hill. Like those positions that are open, they're going to be fighting, scratching. You imagine Tommy Edman not fighting for. I mean, I know he got to. You imagine that guy not putting that effort every day. He's going to. I mean, those guys are going to get after it every day, and Chris Taylor's and all those guys are there. They know they've got to fight for every at bat, every rep they get. They're not backing off for a minute, and that's why they're part of the organization, because they're an important part.
Coach, what's the most excited? What's the one thing you're the most excited about getting this started?
About getting the spring training, the season, just everything getting started. Just kind of see how seems like it's been so long since we've had a healthy pitching staff. It's been so long since we've been on the field, and like to see if the pitching staff is just kind of where you can kind of keep it somewhat intact during the year. You're going to have some bumps and bruises and injuries. That's just the nature of it, as we mentioned before. But I'm looking forward to seeing how the new pieces fit in. You know what you got. I mean, you know what you got with the guys you got. You're not going to lose anything with the guys, the Hall of Famers, the MVPs that we have in the top of our lineup and in the clubhouse. But I'm more excited about seeing, is Edman going to be an everyday player? Is he going to play every day? I love the guy. You love the guy. We all love the guy. That's why the Dodgers love him and signed him. He's totally capable of doing that. Somebody going to put the pressure on him. You got Conforto coming in. You're going to see how he goes in. We talked about this before. I don't even know what his numbers were last year. I don't even care, Case. He's coming in. We've mentioned before, he comes into the Dodger clubhouse. It's a different thing.
And a new ballpark.
It's a new ballpark. He's coming in the world champions. He's not coming in here with his head down or thinking he's got something made. He's got to work his tail off. So I'm looking at the most exciting part is how the new guys are going to fit in, the pitchers, the position players, how their roles are defined, and how the lineup kind of plays itself out. Like you said earlier, we know several of the positions already set, but there's going to be some other stuff looking at going forward on who's going to get the most playing time in those positions. That's exciting to me because
it is.
The makeup of your club, as we always say, it's only as good as your weakest link. That's true on every level of baseball. So, everybody knows where the big dogs are. They're pretty easy to find, but for us to win, and we mentioned the bottom of the order doing all the work in the playoffs. I'll go back. How many times that happened? We see that happen. It wasn't Ohtani doing all the damage. These other guys that's what it takes, and that's the exciting part. Seeing how even new guys have come in that see how they buy into the Dodger culture and how they contribute. That's going to be a neat deal to watch.
Yeah, it's always interesting to watch when people come over. You're not bringing your culture with you. You are coming into the Dodgers culture, and you're becoming a Dodger. That is a distinct thing that happens to people when they get here. So whatever the culture was, whatever your mentality was, your attitude, whatever it may have been, okay, that is in the past. What you now are is a Dodger, and you're either part of this culture or you won't be here very long. And to a man, they all go right. I love how they force people to assimilate into the Dodgers culture when they get here. That's an awesome thing to watch.
Yeah, we've heard several. I think Oklahoma's done it. I'm sure all the Division I coaches in football say the same thing in every sport. Mm-hmm. We didn't recruit you to bring what you just said. We don't want you bringing your culture. We recruited you, signed you to put you into our system. We're not recruiting a new system. We're recruiting you. Now you have to put yourself in there. That's great. That's great stuff all the way across the board, no matter what level, no matter what sport you're in. like I said, things change. I mean, so many times guys get call it a fresh start, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
Coming from an organization that wasn't going good. We all know they're out there, even on the major league level. There's some bad cultures out there, in the clubhouse, front office. You can spot them some in football. Don't get me started on my favorite team. But anyway, you see them in football. You see them at every level. That everybody use the word culture pretty freely. That's a big thing, and it's not as easy as you think.
Nope.
It's not as easy.
It's unbelievable if you see the Dodgers. I'm just telling you. I know I go on and on and on about it. It is the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen with my own eyes.
And they got that credibility.
Everybody gets on the same page. It's unbelievable.
That's what I mean. There's your credibility. There's proof in the pudding. However you want to state it, the credibility of that. Here's our culture. Oh, by the way, you didn't know we just won the World Series, and we've been the best team in baseball arguably the last 2 years. We didn't win one because it's baseball. Things happen. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, it has to be something ingrained in you, not just in you, but in the organization. When you walk in, it's how things are done. I'll go back to a great high school football program here at State at Jinx. One of the coaches told a story about a guy came over from Union, which is another great football program in the state of Oklahoma, big time programs. Guy comes in there and kind of goofs around the weight room. So one of the Jinx guys, the guy's name escapes me, with the NFL, kind of went over. He kind of threw a weight over in front of the guy, looked around, and he goes, "That's not how we do things here.
Yeah,
this is high school level. Yeah, that doesn't work here." Get hooked up, or you're not going to be here.
This is how we do things.
This is how we do things here. And the guy's like, oh, okay. It's totally different, even though from two highly successful programs, that ain't how it works there. And, we could go on forever about that type of stuff. But, the culture, it's easy. It's like everything else. Everybody uses the buzzwords, culture, whatever, teamwork, whatever you want to say. It's easy because it just flows off the lips. It sounds good. But it's harder to build that, and not only that, but hold on to that. So
yeah. Hey, Coach, man, I know you're strapped with time, and we're just getting things started. This is the first of many, many great conversations we're going to have about Dodgers baseball. So appreciate you joining Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Coach.
Thanks, Case. Always great to see you and talk Dodger baseball. Can't wait. You're getting started, and can't wait till the whole squad gets there and see what's going on and be talking to you guys. Coach Bearcoff, Austin, all of you guys, keep watching you guys. It looks good.
We'll bring you more Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network right after this. Team action. I need to unmute my mic right there. Sorry about that. So, okay, welcome back here to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Want to thank Coach Holt for joining during his lunchtime. He is a very, very, very busy man. So thank you so much, Coach Holt, for joining on Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. So what I want to do now is I want to continue I want to get all of this off my chest before we get started, because I guess you could say it frustrates me because I keep talking about it, but more so it just makes me laugh about people who want to try to downplay what the Dodgers have done, the absolute brilliance of the front office. And so I'm going to go through some of the ways in which the Dodgers have built the roster they have right now. Now, keep in mind, they've won 40% of the last 5 World Series. They won one in 2020. They won one last year, okay? Many of them were built with players they developed. Others were built with players that they've acquired and then developed, that kind of thing. So let me start with Mookie Betts. Actually, let me back up a little bit, and let me start with Justin Turner. How can anybody ever dare forget how the Dodgers picked up Justin Turner from the Mets? He was a mess. They put lift in his swing, and Justin Turner will tell you, because the Dodgers put lift in his swing, they saved his career. So Justin Turner, number one. How about Mookie Betts, okay? You guys remember Jeter Downs, who was a big shortstop prospect, who was the main part of the trade back to the Red Sox, and Alex Verdugo, who, by the way, I'm not going to go into any specific details. I can tell you he didn't fit the Dodgers culture. Alex Verdugo, good player, not great, made the last out, ran his mouth. I don't feel sorry for him. He had to go, okay? Point blank, the Dodgers were going to send him away. So Jeter Downs. So how did the Dodgers even get Jeter Downs? They got him. Remember Yasiel Puig? And I can tell you, I saw Yasiel Puig in Oklahoma City. That dude was a tool, man. I have no use whatsoever for Yasiel Puig. I just don't. So if you disagree with that, I'm sorry, but I have personal experiences with Yasiel Puig, and if you guys know me well enough to know that I don't make comments like that about people very often, and so that's just my opinion of Yasiel Puig. So the Dodgers got Jeter Downs for Yasiel Puig, Alex Wood, and Matt Kemp, right? Matt Kemp, obviously a great player, but still not at that time. And so they traded Jeter Downs, Connor Wong for Mookie Betts. I mean, really? Okay, so Connor Wong, hey, by the way, Connor Wong was a really big-time catching prospect. But, hey, the Dodgers at the time had Keibert Ruiz, remember him? And then they still have Will Smith. We remember him, right? The All-Star. So there was no room for Connor Wong. It's the Michael Busch deal. Even if Connor Wong goes and turns out to be great for the Red Sox, the Dodgers still did what they were supposed to because they didn't have room for him. Connor Wong has been probably a below-average Major League player until last year, okay? The Dodgers also got, you remember Josiah Gray? They also got Josiah Gray in that deal with Jeter Downs for Puig, Alex Wood, and Matt Kemp. And Josiah Gray was one of the big pieces of the Max Scherzer and Trey Turner trade. So when you put all it together, you put it in the oven and you let it bake, the Dodgers lost Keibert Ruiz, who's been okay. I mean, Keibert was always ahead of Will Smith because he always went to the next level. Kind of like Diego always went ahead of Dalton Rushing, but Dalton Rushing in the end is going to be the player the Dodgers stick with. That was Keibert Ruiz and Will Smith. Keibert Ruiz was always the first one promoted, but Will Smith was always the guy the Dodgers were going to want to turn to next, right? So, yeah, the interactions with Yasiel Puig. No, I can't get into those, but I can just tell you I'll say this. I will go as far to say this. He is a prima donna, and he is not a fit for the Dodgers culture. I'll say that. He likes himself. Okay, so when you put it all in the oven and you let it bake, the Dodgers lost Keibert Ruiz, who Will Smith has vastly outperformed. The Dodgers lost Connor Wong, who Will Smith has vastly outperformed, and he's also kind of a second baseman type if you need to. They lost Jeter Downs, who didn't do anything. I mean, I hate to use this term, but he's been a flop, okay? There's just really no other way to put it. They lost Josiah Gray, who has not been near the type of pitcher that the Nats thought they were getting, or I thought they were going to get. I saw JoJo pitch, talked to him many different times in Oklahoma City. I thought he was going to be great. I thought he was every bit as good as Ryan Pepio. Those were kind of the two guys that were fighting to get promoted at that time. They lost Yasiel Puig, Alex Wood, and Matt Kemp. Okay, that's it. And in return, they got Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, Max Scherzer. They've won 2 World Series and built a dynasty. Okay, that's not bought. That is built, ladies and gentlemen, by great decision making via the trade market. Okay, so let's go to if I can get to the next slide here. So Mookie Betts, how about this? Okay, I can't tell you how many. Now, remember, the first guy we talked about was Justin Turner. Got him off the scrap heap from the Mets, right? Gave lift to his swing, the Mookie Betts deal we just went over. How about Miguel Rojas, who is an absolute stud in the clubhouse? Had a great year last year. He is an integral part of the veins of this generation of Dodgers. I love Jacob Amaya. I did individual shows on Jacob Amaya. Hey, this is not in any way, shape, or form a negative type of narrative towards Jacob Amaya. I love Jacob. He's got some magic to him. He's one of the best defenders I've ever seen. He has that it factor. He's a cool dude. Matter of fact, Ryan Noda and Jacob Amaya were the very 2 Dodgers minor leaguers that I ever interviewed. Ever. Okay? So Jacob Amaya is dear to my heart. Having said that, the Dodgers traded Jacob Amaya straight up for Miguel Rojas, and when it happened, I mean, people messaged Dodgers Daily left and right, bitching to no end that the Dodgers were trading for the same player, but they're getting the older player, and the Marlins are getting the younger player. Lo and behold, Miguel Rojas versus Jacob Amaya. As much as I love Jacob Amaya, the Dodgers absolutely dominated that trade. I was there. Go back to my Jack Murphy. He's a pro scout in the system. Go back to my conversation. Jack Murphy was on those Oklahoma City teams when the Dodgers picked up Chris Taylor from the Mariners and they picked up Max Muncy from the A's. These guys were nothing. They were absolutely nothing when the Dodgers picked them up. The Dodgers picked up Chris Taylor in a trade for, Zach Lee, in 2015, and added lift to Chris Taylor's swing and made him a great player for this organization. Max Muncy was nothing with the A's. So did the Dodgers draft Chris Taylor? Did they draft Max Muncy? No. But did they invent Chris Taylor? Did they draft Justin Turner? No. But did they invent Justin Turner? Yes. Did they draft Chris Taylor? No. Did they invent Chris Taylor? Yes. Did they draft Max Muncy? No. But did they invent Max Muncy? Yes. How about Tommy Edman and Michael Kopech? How about those deals with those two guys? Okay. I was one of them that, what the hell are we doing going and getting Tommy Edman? He hasn't even hit this year yet. Okay. The only thing he had was like 12 at bats at the AA level. Michael Kopech, although there were a lot of people from a metrical perspective, and he's not going to start. There was news come down that he's not going to start healthy this year. But, hey, this guy's a disaster. I heard one person after the other with the White Sox. As soon as you put this guy under pressure, he's going to crack. Yes, the stuff is great. He has a fastball that nobody else has, but he's not going to be able to deal with the pressure of the Dodgers system. How about that deal? How about Tommy Edman and Michael Kopech? How about Alex Vesia and Kyle Hurt? How about picking those two up from the Marlins for, I believe it was Dylan Floro, right? I mean, Dylan Floro, good pitcher. He was good with the Dodgers. But Alex Vesia was he was one of, if he wasn't the best left-hander in the game last year, you know who was? The guy the Dodgers just said was going to be the closer this year, Tanner Scott. That's how good Alex Vesia was. Kyle Hurt is one of the most promising. Of course, he's trying to recover right now from Tommy John surgery. Kyle Hurt is one of the most promising young pitchers in the game. They got Alex Vesia and Kyle Hurt for Dylan Floro. Ryan Brazier had been released. Anthony Bonda was nobody. He signed for $1 million, okay? They got both of these guys off the scrap heap, okay? Tanner Scott, of course, that's obviously a big free agent signing. So you gotta admit that. Brusdar Graterol, okay? This is a guy the Dodgers got for Kenton Maeda, which I can tell you there were a lot of Dodgers fans that were very dear to Kenton Maeda. But I would say that the Dodgers definitely have won that trade. So whenever I wanted to get into some of those moves that the Dodgers have made, as far as, Austin Barnes is another guy that came over from the Marlins system that the Dodgers have invented, right? So this absolutely, yes, the Dodgers have used the free agency market like they should have, but it wouldn't matter. They would be the Yankees right now and being a very distant second, if not third, if it weren't for the Tommy Edman moves, for the Chris Taylors, for the Max Muncies, for the Michael Kopechs, for all the, how about the deal they got with Freddie Freeman? If it weren't for the ridiculous move for like Mookie Betts, those moves have every bit as much to do with the Dodgers winning right now. Yeah, the Matt Beatty trade for River Ryan's another one. How about getting, of course, I didn't put River Ryan in there yet because he hasn't really made an impact at the major league level. So even if and Justin's saying here, even if the Dodgers did buy players, you still have to buy the right players. That's absolutely correct, okay? So I'm going to laugh at you out loud as I can, if you're a fan of another team that wants to even remotely try to downplay what the Dodgers have done in terms of building this roster. Because what they have done with going and getting Alex Vesia and Kyle Hurt and Mookie Betts and winning all these trades and signing Anthony Bonda for, you remember Chris Martin, Yency Almonte? You remember him? They picked him up and signed him to a minor league contract. How about Evan Phillips, okay? He had been released. They picked him up off the scrap heap, okay? So if you're a fan of another team, of course, first of all, if you are, why are you on Dodgers Daily? Why are you watching Dodgers Dawgs, right? But having said that, I'm going to laugh out loud at you if you even remotely try to play down the fact that the Dodgers are trying to buy a championship, and it's illegitimate because of that. That makes me laugh. And it also makes me realize you don't know jack squat about the way the Dodgers have done business in the last 5 years or so. So, hey, BC, thank you so much for joining. And Justin Lamas, too. Hey, Casey, look at the Angels and Hollywood lifestyle contract. Yeah, 7 for $245 million for zilch. BC, I think a team full of free agents from L.A. would be more impressive than a team full of draftees from other places winning it all. Justin Lamas, Hollywood lifestyle has played in less than 30% of teams' games. Yeah, so those are kind of my thoughts on that situation there. We've been going on for quite a while now. What I wanted to do now is I wanted to cover some of the guys that maybe you haven't heard of that I think you need to know about in spring training. So let me get signed over here, and we're going to cover just a couple of them. If you have any of the prospects that you're excited about as far as spring training goes and that you want me to cover, now is your time. That's what we're going to do right now. Get that on mute right here. And so we're going to cover, now you've heard of all of the Jackson Ferris names. We covered Jackson Ferris and Dalton Rushing, and we covered all those guys. We covered Jack Dreyer on our last show. So what we're going to do now is we are going to cover some of, and let me actually, let me get this clicked over here. That way I can actually see the guys that I need to be talking about and go from there. So this is Jose Hernandez. Okay. Now this is a guy, lefty, that was taken in the Rule 5 draft 3 years ago by the Pittsburgh Pirates. And this is a guy that when he got drafted, he had just got sent up to Double-A Tulsa when it happened. When he got drafted in that Rule 5 draft, he was hitting 99 miles an hour from the left side, and he was the league leader in saves. This is the minor league version of Tanner Scott, ladies and gentlemen. This is a guy that has grinded. Again, I have gone. Now, I'm not saying he'll turn into Tanner Scott. Same story, though. Same type of stuff. A guy that can approach 100 miles an hour from the left side. He has very similar mechanics. He has that type of potential, Jose Hernandez. And so he went to Pittsburgh, and just when he went to Pittsburgh, you can see that nice little slider that he threw there. That's about a 97, 98 mile an hour fastball. It just didn't work. I mean, the instruction there wasn't good. He lost velo. And so he came back to the Dodgers last year in about June, and I got to see him and Sauron Lau. Interviewed Sauron and was going to interview Jose, never quite got around to it. But he put on the developmental list, and they did that just to kind of tweak some mechanics to get him back to the way he was in 2021. And because of that, his velo is back. And so I am very, very, very excited to see where he will be at in terms of his stuff in 2024. But again, Jose Hernandez is another one of those guys to where if he comes out and you're like, wow, who the hell is this guy? That's who he is, because he's a guy, again, that is very talented, but a guy who has had a very long path, kind of a Tanner Scott type of story. And if it clicks like it was clicking before he got taken in the Rule 5 draft, what was it, 3 years ago, then if it does click, he could be very, very, very good. Here's another guy right here. I've talked about him many, many different times, Jermaine Rosario. This is a guy that's 94 to 96. There are people in the system that will tell you when this guy's on, you can see that high-riding fastball. He has some of the best of it. It's kind of Ben Kasperius type story again, okay? Like, you're going to have one outing where Jermaine Rosario goes 6 innings and just is absolutely, completely dominant. And you're going to have other outings to where he goes out and struggles to get through the first inning. I mean, that's just kind of the consistency piece has been what Jermaine Rosario has really tried to conquer. But he made it up to Double-A Tulsa. I've had a chance not to interview him, but I've had a chance to talk to him on several different occasions. Jermaine Rosario is a guy he's going to start on. Both of these guys, Jose Hernandez and Jermaine Rosario, both are going to start with AAA Oklahoma City, and they have a ton of potential. I mean, they're guys that in spring training, I promise you, the Dodgers will give chances to. And when they throw, if they throw like they're capable, I promise you, whenever they come out, I will be getting one message after the other. Who the heck are these guys? There's Kendall Williams, by the way, right there. That's Darren Olinger. There's Logan Boyer. Had a chance to talk. Logan Boyer is another one that if he could just stay healthy. But I'm not telling you these guys are for sure major leaguers. I am telling you they're going to start at the AAA level. I'm telling you they have major league talent, and they are guys that I know for a fact the Dodgers are very high on. I mean, the Dodgers specifically went back and got Jose Hernandez again once the Pirates decided that they were going to trade him. So the Dodgers liked Jose Hernandez enough to go back and get him again. So keep your eye on Jose Hernandez and then also Jermaine Rosario. And then another guy that I wanted to talk about on today's show, a guy that you really need to pay very close attention to, because when he throws the ball in the strike zone, nobody has more swing and miss than he does. Ben Harris 2 years ago had the highest strikeout per 9 innings of anybody in the minor leagues. It was ridiculous how many people he struck out. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to blow smoke and try to tell you that everything was perfect for him, because it absolutely was not. Because the problem that Ben Harris has and has always had is keeping the ball in the strike zone. I was there late June, early July, when I don't even think he made an out. He might have made one out and given up 4 or 5 runs just because he could not get the ball in the strike zone. But Ben Harris is another lefty. Again, doesn't throw real hard, but he hides the ball very well. You can see how well he hides the ball there. Ben Harris is a lefty to where if in the offseason he masters the strike zone, absolutely watch out for him, because he is a guy that absolutely has some of the best, despite the fact that it's not 100 miles an hour, he has some of the best stuff as far as swing and miss goes of any pitcher in the minor league. So Ben Harris is another name to keep a listen out for. We saw Austin Gauthier get to play quite a bit last year for AAA Oklahoma City. So super excited to see what Gator's going to do. You know, he had that 150 WRC plus, and he also, a lot of times he will walk more than he strikes out. And so that's super exciting as well. And another guy, just from a human interest perspective, keep your eye out for Cody Hosey. And the reason why I say this is, if you like baseball, if you like the story of journeys, I'm not saying the Dodgers are going to bring him up and replace Max Muncy with him or anything like that. But what I am going to tell you is Cody Hosey had a fantastic year last year, and it is because he was healthy. Cody Hosey had a great start to his career in 2019. He struggled for the next 3 years, and it was almost all because of injury. Last year, he was fully healthy, and he was able to show off exactly what he is capable of doing, and he had a great year. So I am super excited to see what Cody Hosey is going to be able to do coming off of his best year, full year as a professional, and off of the momentum he's created. And kind of really what I'm hoping is that he creates enough momentum to where another major league club will want him enough to where he becomes a player that the Dodgers could trade and maybe get some prospect capital back. Or maybe they do turn and think, hey, maybe this guy, there's Nabil Creasmont pitching, by the way. He was with the Dodgers for a while last year. And then another guy, we've seen him a couple of years, Ryan Ward, old Wardo. He's always at the top of the list in home runs. He had a great offseason, played for the Team USA team, and so he's done nothing but get better. He has, in my opinion, a better hit tool than Andy Pages, but he's just not a center fielder, and he's left-handed, which is not necessarily something the Dodgers need right now. So this is a major league bat. This is a guy that has continued to improve defensively. Again, Opportunity is the issue with him, but keep an eye on Ryan Ward. Old Wardo, let's see if he can continue to climb and be a guy, again, kind of like Cody Hosey, that forces other clubs to pay attention enough to him to where the Dodgers might be able to either make a commitment to him, which doesn't look likely at this point. I'm not trying to blow smoke up anybody. Or either that or another club shows interest. Hey, we need a power-hitting lefty. How about Ryan Ward? Let's make a deal, and maybe you can get prospects back. So there are some prospects that I think you need to keep an eye on. Again, Jose Hernandez, Jermaine Rosario, Cody Hosey, Ben Harris, Ryan Ward, all those guys. Keep an eye out for them in spring training. When you see them, pay extra attention just simply to their journey and see how things go. So, hey, we have had a wonderful crowd today, way better than I ever thought we would have. So I just want to thank everybody so much for flipping on over to Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network again last night. I was busy doing certain things. Going to be busy again tonight, getting ready to go referee some basketball for four basketball games tonight in Perry, Oklahoma. So not very excited about that. So wouldn't be in position to give a show tonight, but the next time you will see me and Austin will be tomorrow night, Friday night, for our regular Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, and that'll be Friday night in the big town. Again, super excited about spring training. It is a great day to be a Dodger. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.